American businesses that straight up failed in foreign countries. That's what we're looking at. It's from Watch Mojo, being linked down below, so you can check this out fully and browse their channel. This was a Discord suggestion from Ahsoka. Thank you so much. Let's dive right in, y'all.
To be looking at major U.S.-based companies that have tried and spectacularly failed to find success in certain other countries.
Alrighty.
We're using the term overseas a bit loosely, since the actual definition of the word states that the country or countries involved don't necessarily have to be across a body of water, though they usually are. But they Number 10. Target
Canada. Failed. Oh,
Target
man.
is closing all 133 of its stores in Canada. But
this will be interesting to see why. Target, I feel like, is just insanely popular here. It seems like they're always crowded.
the news doesn't come as a surprise to analysts and customers that have been tracking the company's expansion.
In 2011, it was announced that U.S. retailer Target was entering the Canadian market in an unusual way by acquiring the leases of 220 Zellers stores. They effectively converted most of them to Target locations by 2013. Saddened by the loss of a classic Canadian brand, shoppers were excited to see how Target would compare to both the old Zellers and current Walmart offerings. But it only took 2 years for the brand to tank in a spectacular fashion.
Stores were poorly stocked, and Canadians were turned off when they noticed that prices fluctuated from what they were used to seeing at Target's U.S. stores.
A combination of supply chain issues, technology difficulties, and a simple lack of understanding of the Canadian market proved the U.S. chain's shot in Canada was far from the bullseye.
They built stores everywhere, and they took existing stores and they made them. This was one. We'll look back and we'll look at. This is the biggest blunder in the history of retail.
Number 9.
So it sounds like they just kind of gobbled up those old, what do they call them, Zellers or whatever stores, and they maybe tried to turn around too quick. Like, hey, here we go. So let's slap Targets everywhere, and they didn't really figure out, the differences in the markets. Compared to the U.S., they didn't figure out the logistics and all that. If you can't keep your store stocked and the prices are, kind of messed up because of maybe mistakes on your end, it's not going to be a good look. Especially Canadians in this case would probably be pissed off like, well, I hear such good things about Target in the U.S., but then they're not getting the same experience up in Canada. That's kind of not fair either. So it just kind of leaves a sour shopping experience. I'm going to guess that's basically what it was. That's weird.
Walmart.
Ooh. I do actually have a video about this. You should check it out on my channel. This was interesting. They epically failed.
Germany.
In Germany,
Can a
Walmart
company
did.
help you live a better life?
They really did bad.
We're working on it every day.
One of the biggest reasons why U.S.-based chains struggle or die entirely in foreign markets has to do with cultural differences.
Right.
In some cases, corporations may simply assume that what works in one place will work everywhere.
And that is not a good assumption.
Toys, treats, stuff that the kids like, and be able to say yes, it just really puts a smile on their
I'm not a
face.
fan of Walmart, by the way.
Walmart.
I don't go there.
A prime example of this was the failure for Walmart to take off in Germany. Opening in 1997, the chain lasted 9 years and took $1 billion
Which is
loss on the
shocking.
venture. Explanations vary, but a common thread among many of them is how German people are distinctly different from the U.S. standard Walmart business practices, like plastic bags, door greeters, and even pre-store opening chants all clashed with the locals.
Walmart also required its cashiers to
This whole weird, obsessive team environment, while in reality, they weren't really treating employees the best. It's kind of ironic, right?
flash smiles at patrons, which a lot of customers thought was flirty and creepy.
Number 8. Wendy's. Japan.
Wendy's. Oh, okay.
Wendy's, what would you like with your hot and crispy fries?
I've said this before. I'll say it again on this channel. Look, I actually like Wendy's, but it's one of those restaurants that for some reason, at least in my life, maybe other people go there all the time, but in my life, I skip it all the time. If I go out to eat, I never go there. I never end up at Wendy's. I think I eat there like once a year. Like, it's weird. And I don't know why.
Wendy's new fries. Guaranteed hot and crispy.
Having expanded to Japan in 1980, Wendy's managed to keep Dave Thomas's famous burger chain open for almost 30 years.
I think I'm onto something.
All 71 locations were closed at the end of 2009,
Okay.
leaving fans wondering if they would ever return. Heavy competition from McDonald's and Burger King seemed to be the largest reason for the withdrawal.
Yeah.
The company did return again in 2011 with 3 new stores, but failed again to capture any significant market share.
Yeah.
They ultimately decided to simply acquire the Japanese-based First Kitchen chain and rebrand it. They began offering Wendy's items alongside the store's original menu.
That's weird.
These days, unless...
Kind of interesting, actually.
Is that a real song?
Number 7.
Yeah, I think when he said they were losing market share to Burger King and McDonald's and stuff, I think that makes sense. For some reason, that's kind of like what I was saying. They're just, I don't know why, and I'm sorry, Wendy's, but like they're kind of like in the background, right? They're just not people's first choice. A lot of people don't end up there when they're driving around looking for food.
McDonald's. Jamaica/the Caribbean.
Really?
There's very little argument to be made about McDonald's being the top burger joint across the globe.
Right.
BTS meal at McDonald's.
They have, your standard options for, I don't know, supposedly good prices. I think it's kind of expensive, actually, at McDonald's. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but I don't go to McDonald's either. Like, we never go there. Just not a fan. But I would like to try it in other countries because I've heard in other countries they have a much bigger menu and interesting items.
As previously mentioned, the Golden Arches have been a solid competitor to many over the years. Yet even Ray Kroc would have had difficulty keeping the franchise afloat out in the Caribbean. The Jamaican chain lasted 10 years and ceased operations in 2005.
Wow, that's short.
Several major barricades prevented the brand from really taking off. The high cost of launching and maintaining a franchise limited how many locations would open.
Okay.
Combine that with supply chain issues, a bad economy, and a misunderstanding around the locals' approach to cuisine all contributed to the burger giant's failure.
Yeah.
Locations in Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago also suffered the same fate.
Wow. Well, I'm sure in that case, again, they probably had lack of locations. Maybe it wasn't seen as a good value by locals. To be quite frank, I'm sure they had really established and really probably delicious local food around. And it's like, why would I go to McDonald's when there's a really good restaurant that's, got a name for itself down the street or something,
Number 6, eBay. China.
eBay in China, what? That's kind of shocking.
This may be the first entry regarding China, but it certainly won't be the last. Another difficult market to crack, eBay never stood a chance against Taobao, a subsidiary of Alibaba.
Oh, okay.
Searching for treasures
I've heard of Alibaba.
It's China's biggest online shopping destination, with more than 2 billion listings of products and services.
That's insane.
Launched in
oh my
2003
God.
as an eBay competitor, Taobao understood the Chinese market far better than its U.S. counterpart. eBay charged for listings, whereas Taobao's were free. Perhaps the most significant difference, though, was the ability for customers to instant message directly with sellers on the Taobao platform.
Oh, that's cool.
Shopping on Taobao is never a chore or a task. It's a fun, interactive, entertaining
Well, there you go.
that keeps Chinese consumers spending nearly 30 minutes every day on the platform.
Well, judging from just a little bit they showed there, it did look, colorful and interactive and kind of fun, like a kind of, an experience. eBay would look pretty boring and bland compared to that, so I guess that's not a
Gave
surprise.
buyers a more intimate relationship with the seller.
Yeah.
Something eBay couldn't offer and was important to the locals. The company pulled out in 2006. Number 5, Mattel, China.
If Chinese girls embrace Barbie's pink kingdom, an American mainstay could find new life in China.
Mattel learned the hard way what many of the companies on this list also learned. Study your foreign market in explicit detail.
However, with its iconic brand Barbie, Mattel hopes to gain significant market share in China, where it has long lagged behind rivals such as Japanese toy maker Bandai.
Anyone and everyone in the U.S. knows who Barbie is.
Right.
So when Mattel went to Shanghai and built a 6th-floor, 36,000 square foot facility featuring Barbie in every corner, they expected massive success.
That's Barbie overload.
The 6th-floor dream house features every Barbie ever made, including her new Shanghai friend Lin, complete with multiple shopping bags.
Only one problem. Chinese culture tends to favor educational entertainment versus escapism.
Right.
Shoppers didn't know of or even understand what the point of Barbie was, and so no one was interested. It only took 2 years before the store closed its doors.
Damn, that's quick.
Number 4.
That's a quick turnover. You know, it's just a fact that you have to know and appreciate that cultures are in high numbers, right? There's so many different cultures around the globe. And you know what? There's going to be a lot of culture differences. You can't just say, well, this works in a couple countries, so it's got to work everywhere else. Like, that's just not how it works. You can't expect the same results over and over again. If it was that easy, you know, maybe we'd all have billion-dollar businesses, right? I mean, that one is pretty easily explained, right? You know, they value learning things and education and, you know, bettering yourself as a person per se, not, you know, having a huge collection of Barbie dolls. And so therefore, why would that ever work there? Of course, it's not going to work. Everywhere's different. Starbucks in Australia is next. I actually have a video on this as well that I did a long time ago, I think in 2021. Very interesting video as well. If you don't know already, I'm sure a lot of you watching this do know that. But if you don't know, Australia's got an extremely strong coffee culture. And they have really good coffee. And people are really picky about their coffee there. So Starbucks, even though I don't know how they even succeed here, because again, I don't go there. I do get food from Starbucks sometimes. I know it sounds funny. If I'm in a pinch, they have a couple things that are good in the morning time, but their coffee is just atrocious. Like, I do drink coffee almost every day of my life, but I do not have Starbucks. It's just not good. It's just not my thing. And I'm not surprised that it flopped in Australia. I'm not.
Starbucks, Australia.
Tell you what, it is weird.
Similar to
how crowded they are here in the U.S. I'm talking about everywhere. We've gone on road trips. We've lived in different states. Let me tell you, Starbucks is crowded everywhere in the U.S. It is just bizarre. They are so, like, popular here. It's
earlier entry
wild.
About Target. Starbucks tried a massive launch to a market they'd done very little research on.
Yeah.
Opening 84 locations across the country, locals saw the emergence of the coffee chain as an attempted invasion.
When they launched too rapidly and didn't give the Australian consumer an opportunity to really develop an appetite for the Starbucks brand.
In a land where coffee was already in abundance,
Right.
Starbucks faced an upward battle against a surprising adversary, the locals. Turns out those from down under tend to favor independent cafes versus giant conglomerates.
Right.
In a region that loves the uniqueness of individual coffee houses, the Seattle-based company stood out for all the wrong reasons.
It just was the complete wrong market for what the Australian was used to.
Struggling to find their niche, they sold whatever they had left to 7-Eleven's owners, who now sell their brand in convenience stores.
That's funny.
Number 3. Best Buy.
Best Buy in the UK.
United Kingdom.
What?
Based on everything you've heard on this list so far, we'll give you one guess why Best Buy failed in the UK. Yep, you got it. Culture.
People had no clue what was Best Buy here, so why would you go to a big store that just opened when you can go to your Currys or PC World you've been going for years?
They had hoped to open upwards of 200 stores after acquiring a 50% stake in Carphone Warehouse, a UK wireless carrier. They never even made it past 11 stores, failing to understand how Europeans approach purchasing of electronics. Best Buy assumed they were just like folks back home. Not so much. People across the pond tend to either buy online or through smaller retailers.
People in the UK, they're much more likely to research online and buy online. And actually, the role of the store is quite insignificant.
Combine that with...
Now, I'd say that's different than here, but we're like halfway there. So I thought I heard a couple years ago Best Buy was barely hanging on here in the U.S. They're still around. They still get some traffic, but they're not the big, crazy popular company that they were 20 years ago because so many people do shop online here as well, myself included. It's very rare that I'll go into one of these and, expect like the best shopping experience. It's just kind of easier to see videos and see reviews and do your research online. And most likely you can find, the best price online too. Or most things in here you can honestly find at another big box store for probably a better price as well. So I'm surprised Best Buy is hanging on, but I also am not surprised that they failed quickly in the UK or really anywhere in Europe, because that sounds like a different culture, going to more local places or smaller places for electronics. That's definitely not the culture here, at least for the average person. If I do need an electronic, I guess my American culture here is your first thought would be online or a big store like this. So that is different. I will point that out. That is different. I don't think I've ever gone to like a small mom and pop electronics type of store or PC store. They exist here, but it's not common amongst a lot of people.
Poor timing of their launch and a lack of advertising, Best Buy never stood a chance.
Best Buy closed its 11 big box stores in the UK in 2012, just 2 years after initially entering the country.
That's quick.
A very brief attempt.
Number 2, Uber, China.
All you have to do to find it is get out.
I think they're having troubles too. Even here in the States. I'm not sure though.
Much like the other entries on this list that tried to get into China, Uber failed to crack the safe of their Great Firewall. 2016 saw them raise the white flag when they were absorbed by their biggest competitor, Didi.
Oh, wow.
我们对司机进行3证验真及背景审查，身份真实可靠。
Uber's failure was not for a lack of trying. The company invested heavily in the use of Chinese infrastructure to meet the demands of the market. But from unethical drivers, lacking relationships with taxi companies, and regulatory difficulties, Uber failed to gain any traction. Had they tried to partner with the right company, even their competitor, they may have had a chance.
Right.
Instead, if you need a ride in China, you're best off to try Didi.
Uber was behind from day one. If a Chinese user already had Didi, the only reason they'd switch is if it was that much cheaper.
Google.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Millions of people around the world use Google, except in China.
That's
Even
wild.
the king of search couldn't find a way to make it work in China. Google tried entering the market there in 2006, but very quickly learned it was no match for their biggest competitor, Baidu. Formed in 2000, it had one edge on Google they were never going to go near: pirated content. With the ability to easily access music and movie downloads, Baidu created a stronghold Google couldn't breach. Then along came the Great Firewall, and they became even more frustrated with the rules around censorship.
Alrighty, so that was pretty interesting. It just comes down to a lot of it is culture differences, but I think these are kind of fun to learn about because it gives a little insight of culture differences and what doesn't work in certain places or regions and what does work. And I think it's kind of fun. I think getting that perspective, seeing differences around the world, I mean, that's what this is about for me. I want to learn about so much I can in the world. And that's really the point of this channel. And I think it's really fun because I learn from you guys. All the viewers, our amazing community here is the best for learning. But then, of course, occasionally in videos trying to get just a little bit of insight into different places and what they like and don't like and so on. It's refreshing, right? It's refreshing. This is a great video for comments, so I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Did you experience any of these? And maybe perhaps some of these you actually liked and you were sad to see them go, or maybe some of these you were like, yep, I'm not surprised that failed here. I went, I hated it, and it was gone, a couple years later, whatever. I would love to hear your stories. Anywho, check the link in the description for this video. You can watch the whole thing and check out their channel. And of course, throw a like on there if you enjoyed it and maybe learned something. Subscribe to be part of this amazing community. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker, and until next time, y'all, we'll catch you later.